Good morning, dear students. Welcome to Standard 7th. Today we'll be studying the subject science. So please open your books on page number 1, chapter 1, The Living World, Adaptations and Classification. So first we'll be studying adaptations in plants, aquatic plants, desert plants, snowy, forest region, grasslands, and also adaptations for ingestion of food in plants. So now let's move on to the next slide. So you all have seen a variety of living things in the world around us. There's a variety of plants. Some are small, some are big, some have colorful flowers, whereas some plants are found in the deserts and some are found in the water. Now, as different types of plants are there, similarly, some animals are also diverse. Some are unicellular, that is single celled, and some are multicellular, that is many celled. Now, some are vertebrates which have a vertebral column, and some animals are invertebrates, they do not have a vertebral column. Now, there is a variety of animals such as aquatic, terrestrial, amphibian, reptilian, and aerial. So, after seeing all these different types of plants and animals, question arises, how have these animals come into being? So, we'll try to answer this question by just recollecting the plants and the animals found in Kashmir and Rajasthan. In Kashmir, we see coniferous trees like the pine, the deodar, and the Christmas trees. The shape of these trees is conical, and the snow slips off the leaves so that the tree doesn't get destroyed. Similarly, in the deserts of Rajasthan, the plants are small and they have spines or thorns on their plants, like the cactus and the acacia or the babul. Similarly, the camel, which is a desert animal, is not found in Kashmir. Then, what are the reasons of these differences? Let's see. So, in order to answer this question, there's a concept of adaptation. Now, what do you mean by adaptation? Let us see. Adaptation is a gradual change occurring in the body parts and also in the behavior of organisms which help them to adjust to their surroundings. Such changes are called as adaptations, and over a period of time, they have taken a long time to adjust themselves to the surroundings. Okay, so now let's see the different types of animals and their habitat and adaptation in plants. Let's observe this chart. Okay, we can include the other plants from our own area also. So, the first column is plant, second habitat. Habitat means the place where they live, type of roots, characteristics of the leaves, characteristics of the stem. Lotus, it's aquatic plant, its root is fibrous, it's large and round and waxy layer, its stem is hollow and flexible. Next is cactus, it is a desert plant, it has deep penetrating roots, it doesn't have leaves, or it has thorns, that is the leaves are reduced to thorns. Similarly, the stem is thick, fleshy and green. Photosynthetic stem. The banyan tree, which lives on the land, it has got tap roots and aerial roots. The leaves are big and green, and the stem is tall and hard. Yes, I hope you all have understood the adaptation in plants. Here you can see a variety of plants here in this slide. Okay, coniferous trees are there, cactus is there, the babul tree is there. Yes, okay. Now let us go to the adaptation in aquatic plants. Now, you must have visited various water bodies such as the river, the brook, the pond, the lake. What is the difference you observe in the terrestrial and the aquatic plants? Some aquatic plants are firmly rooted in the soil at the bottom of the water bodies, whereas some are submerged, while the leaves and the flowers float on the surface. Some plants entirely float, some roots are anchored, not anchored in the soil. Now, if you have observed the leaves and the stems of these aquatic plants, it's covered with a waxy layer. The leaves of some of the aquatic plants are thin and slender like ribbon. This shape helps them to withstand the fast currents of water. Similarly, there are air spaces in the stems and the petioles of the aquatic plant which are useful for floating on the leaf. So if you observe the lotus stalk, yes, if you observe the lotus stalk, you can see it is hollow. There are air gaps in it so that the lotus plant floats on the water. Similarly, if you have observed while going towards Pune on the Harris Bridge near Dapodi, in the river you can see, in the Mula river you can see there are some floating plants which is called as water hyacinth. Yes, and this water hyacinth, if you observe the water hyacinth, the petiole of it is filled with air. So what happens is, due to the air, the plant floats in water and it looks attractive also. Now let us go further to the question answer session. Here use your brain power. What does the water trickle of the lotus leaves? Now the lotus leaves, there's a waxy layer on the leaves, therefore water does not remain on it. Second question, why don't the leaves of these plants rot in water? Because of the waxy layer, the water slips down the leaves and hence it does not rot in the water. Then third question, why are their roots short and fibrous? The roots are short and fibrous to help them to float and move in water. Now let us see these pictures here. The lotus, the purple color plant, the purple color flower. Okay, it's the lotus. Above that is the water hyacinth. You can see it's floating because its petiole and the stem have got air gaps. Similarly, on the lower side, you can see the ribbon-shaped leaves of the plant because it helps them to float. Okay, now let us go further for adaptation in desert plants. Now in desert plants, you must have seen cactus, isn't it? The big, thick, fleshy part you think must be the leaf, but actually it is the stem. And the thorns which you can see are actually the leaves which are reduced to thorns. Why is it so? Because in order to reduce evaporation of water, the leaves are reduced to thorns and the stem becomes thick and fleshy to produce food. That is, photosynthesis process occurs in it. This is the type of adaptation in desert plant. So their roots also penetrate deep in the soil and some of their roots spread away in the soil in search of water. They also have a thick layer of waxy substance on the stems of these plants too. You can see some of a variety of cactus plants, that is the desert plants. Yes. So the main ability of these desert plants is to collect and store water, and the second feature is to reduce loss of water, and the third feature is that the roots of the desert plants penetrate deep. So here you can see the variety of cactus plants. Now let us go to the next slide. Let us study the adaptation of plants in the snowy regions. You must have seen the coniferous tree, the Christmas tree. Yes, see the shape of these trees. Now the plants which grow in the snowy regions mainly include conifers like the deodar and the pine. These trees are conical in shape due to sloping branches. in the heavy rainfall and extreme cold in these regions, the conical shape prevents the snow from accumulating on the tree, and the thick bark helps the tree to withstand the cold. So here you can observe the conical trees. Yes, the different shape of the leaves, needle shaped leaves also. Yes, followed. Okay, now let us go to the adaptation of plants in the forest region. Okay, now in the forest a great variety of plants are present, such as trees, shrubs and herbs. Now these plants compete with each other for sunlight. Hence they grow tall and tall, competing with each other. Then there are climbers. Now these climbers and vines, they grow to a great height with the support of trees. Now these climbers have tendrils. They have tendrils. So you can see how they circle them or entwine them around the support. So they grow up and up. Yes. Entwine them. Yes, here you can see how they have entwined themselves. Now, so the plants in the forest region also adapt themselves and compete among themselves. Yes. Now let us go to the next slide. Let us see adaptation in grasslands. Adaptation in grassland plants. So in the grasslands we have a variety of bushes and grasses. Now the fibrous roots of these grasses prevent soil erosion, which is very important. Soil erosion. Now forests in the equatorial regions are dense. So animals like the tiger, the elephants and the deer can remain hidden in these grasses. However, the grasses in the cold regions are very short. Animals like the rabbit are found in these grasses. Vast meadows are found in the hilly areas as well as plains. Now here in this slide you can see the temperate grasslands. Okay, so here you can see the various types of grasses over there. Okay, now let us go further. Let us observe and discuss further the adaptation in parts of the plants like the potato, the groundnut, the yam, the water hyacinth, aloe, acacia, carrot, onion, beet, bitter gourd, grapevine, etc. and other plants in your surroundings. Okay. Now, let us go further for how plants ingest their food by adapting themselves. So, ingestion of food in plants. Various modes of ingestion are there for the plants, and accordingly the plants adjust themselves or adapt themselves. Most of the plants are anchored to the ground and are autotrophic, that is, they are green in color, they prepare their own food. However, some plants like the dodder, that is the cuscuta, are parasitic. What do you mean by parasites? Parasites are the creatures, plants or animals, which depend for their food or nutrition on other plants or animals. So here the plant body of the dodder consists of yellow, if you can see in the picture, yellow strings or wire-like stems. These stems, it is leafless plant and cannot perform photosynthesis. So it has hostorial or sucking roots for absorption of nutrients from the host plants. These roots penetrate up to the conducting vessels, that means right deep inside the plant where the conducting vessels, they conduct food and water. From there they penetrate deep inside the host plant to absorb the water and the food. Next, fungi do not have chlorophyll and cannot perform photosynthesis. You must have seen fungi on the starchy foods like the bhakri or the bread. They are dark color or black color fungus. You must have observed. Suppose a bread remains by mistake for some days, or in this rainy season, you must have seen lots of fungus growing in different places. So this fungus, they do not have root-like fibers for, they have root-like fibers for absorption of food. So the fungus has adapted itself to absorb its food. Now, some plants, they need nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium for growth, but they grow in a soil which is deficient in nitrogen. Deficient means there is a shortage or there is absence of nitrogen in that soil. So there, plant like the Drosera, that is the sundew plant. The sundew plant, the Venus flytrap, the pitcher plant, they fulfill their needs for nitrogen by consuming the insects. Adaptations are seen in these plants which serve to attract insects and hold them in captive. Now in this slide, you can see the pitcher plant. Yes, the pitcher plant, how it is shaped like a jug, okay, water jug. So where if the insect sits on the mouth of this plant, it captures it and it digests the insect and it derives its nutrition from that insect. Similarly, the Venus flytrap, it also captures the insects. You can see its lovely shape. And next, last two pictures are of the of the Drosera, that is a sundew plant. These are two different types of sundew plants, so which take their nutrition from the insects. So I hope you all have understood the adaptation in plants. So in the next slide, we will in the next video we shall see the adaptation in animals. Thank you. Have a nice day.